sense of safety, when in actuality, it is perpetuating my fear and keeping me from my true nature. Hey, I'm Gem, like a gemstone, and I'm a Kiwi, aka a New Zealander, living in the States, changing people's lives and businesses. How? Well, I'm a boho boss babe, and with my 16 years experience in the law of attraction, 8 years owning my fitness business, and 5 years as a 200-hour yoga and meditation teacher, I combine my mind, body, and soul practices with my proven business strategy and strengths to help you make more money, live in alignment and flow, give you your time back, and live a rich and enriched life of your dreams, because you deserve to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. So if you're ready to learn how to shift your mindset, attract what you want, create boundaries, avoid burnout, delegate, manage your teams, empower your staff, strategize and restructure your business, market and sell, find new streams of income, and create the balanced, fulfilled life of your dreams, then grab your coffee or tea and enjoy this episode of the Gem Body Mind podcast. All the love you need is within yourself. Gabrielle Bernstein. A Course in Miracles defines love as the right-minded emotion of peace and joy. It's not the kind of love we're used to thinking about, which is romantic love. It's an all-encompassing love for everyone and everything. Our fear, or ego, separates us from this. Separates us from this love, and we feel jealousy, judgment, guilt, anger, resentment towards not only ourselves, but to others as well. When you feel these emotions, which are derived from fear-based thoughts, you have separated from your true nature at birth, which is love and oneness. You think of a little baby, when that baby comes out, it only knows love, right? It learns fear. Have you ever felt jealousy towards someone else? Well, you have separated from love and chosen fear in that moment. Have you ever felt angry at someone else? You have separated from love and have chosen fear in that moment. Have you judged someone or even yourself? Well, you have separated from love and have chosen fear in that very moment. Do you see where I'm going with this? Our loving mind believes that all people are equal and that we are a part of something larger than ourselves. It doesn't take much for us to turn to fear instead of love. Our parents' divorce, a bully at school, being embarrassed by a school teacher, coming in second and told second is for losers. Heck, we've been practicing choosing fear over love our whole lives. These experiences have separated us from everyone and everything around us. And when we see ourselves as separate, we judge, compare, compete, and we shame. None of these make us feel joyful, right? No, they make us feel pretty darn crappy. A Course in Miracles says you cannot be faithful to two masters who ask conflicting things of you. So I ask you this, which master are you currently following? If the answer isn't love, well, that's okay. Because remember, we've been conditioned like this our whole life, right? We've been conditioned to follow Master Ego, right? Master Ego makes you feel safe, right? Now, Master Ego built this beautiful big wall for you to live behind so that no one could hurt you. But Master Ego keeps you separate from everyone else so that you're protected from harm, right? Wrong. Master Ego prevents you from feeling joy, love, and happiness. True happiness, not a false sense of happiness that has you buying clothes, burgers, or lovers, right? At the end of the day, this one thing is true. Fear, or ego, blocks your ability to feel joy, your true nature love. It is only when you embody your true nature love that you can fully be in the experience of joy and freedom. Most of our arguments, well, I'm tempted to go out on a limb here and say all, but most of our arguments with others flare up because one person's ego feels attacked. And in that moment, the ego does what the ego does best. It attacks back. Then you find yourself in a battle, and what happened there was one person said or did something, not knowing that it was a trigger from a past experience in the other person's life, and that other person's ego got hurt. So for example, a wife texts her husband and sees that he's read it, but he doesn't respond immediately. She gets offended and acts out because it brings back past feelings of being ignored, or even worse, neglected. But the husband had no idea that this happened in the wife's past. He had no idea that it was a trigger. All he is seeing is her ego and fear acting out. So your belief system creates your reality. Your ego has made you believe in separateness, insecurity, and lack. If you don't choose again, you'll stay in a reality that is cold, miserable, and lonely. I know that you don't want that reality. And if you do, you're probably following the wrong person. If you want to create a reality filled with joy, happiness, and love, we may have some work to do, but we can do it together. First, believing that you have the ability to create a new reality is absolutely key. You do this through practice. Daily meditation and affirmations like I am one with the world, I am love, I trust myself to create my new reality, I am worthy of a joyful life, I choose to see joy instead of fear. You put this stuff on repeat, okay? Repeat so that it's second nature to think and really truly believe the things that you're saying. Now, second is to practice bringing awareness to when you have a thought that doesn't make you feel good, okay? This definitely takes practice because you've been conditioned to think a certain way your whole life. So don't feel bad if you don't catch these thoughts right away. This will take a bunch of other methods to start trusting yourself and listening to your intuition instead of the default master ego. But it didn't take overnight to create the hell that you're living in, so it's going to take some time. Now, the third step is to think of the positive feeling you want to feel instead of the fear-driven one you have defaulted to, okay? And it may not be a positive feeling, it's just a feeling that is better than the one you're feeling right now. So a better feeling, a better emotion, one step above where you're at. So for instance, let's say you're scrolling through Instagram and you see a fitness model in her perfect bikini body and you feel insecure about your own body in that instant. You bring awareness to how you're feeling in your body, sinking heart, hollowing gut, and then how you feel emotionally, sad, unworthy, depressed, lonely, whatever it may be. And then you find a positive feeling or a better feeling that you'd rather feel, such as grateful, happy, appreciative, anything that is a step above the sad, unworthy, depressed, or lonely feeling, okay? It may not be love, because that might be too massive of a jump. It might be too far away. Going from depressed to feeling love, that's a big jump. So just something that's slightly better. And then you put that, you think about an affirmation, you put it on repeat. Okay, so I am grateful, I am happy, I am appreciative, right? I am accepting. And as a bonus, you can go back to that picture of the fitness model and congratulate her, celebrate her success. And then you can even go as much as liking her or commenting on her post or saying even something positive. Even if it's not coming from an authentic place initially, commenting, you look great, you still might feel a little bit judgy or resentful. But if you force yourself to act, if you force your fingers to type, you look great, and you start doing that more and more, and you put that into practice, and you decide that you're going to choose a better feeling and a better thought and a better action than what your natural initial reaction is, then that's when your reality starts to shift. That is when your reality will start to shift because you put it into practice. You are kind of faking it till you make it, right? You're faking that celebration, or if you're just not really feeling it, you're faking it until that energy of faking it becomes so real to your body and your mind that it actually becomes your reality. How cool is that? So we repeat negative thoughts so much that we start believing them to be true. Same thing with positive, okay? Same thing with positive. Just like I was saying, you're faking it and then you just start believing it. It becomes your reality. When we create these thoughts from ego. It's to protect us from a past experience comes your reality. When we create these thoughts from ego, it's to protect us from a past experience or limiting belief passed down to us, which has made us turn away from love, okay, soul and intuition. We then have a negative emotional response to these ego-based thought patterns like anxiety, depression, anger, which creates a reality that is a living hell for us. All because of a fictional perception that we have placed upon an event. If we have that much power to create a living hell, doesn't it make sense that we have the same power to create a love story reality? Love being our true nature at birth. So recognize the negative, fearful thoughts and release them without judgment. Replace your negative, fearful thought with a loving, positive one. So as an example, let's say you think, I'm not talented enough. You are going to replace it as soon as you bring awareness to the fact that you've said, I'm not talented enough, or I suck. You've got to bring awareness to the fact that you've thought that. Then you replace that with, I am capable of learning anything I desire, or I am enough. You rephrase that thought, that subconscious thought pattern that just popped in, I'm not talented enough, or I suck, okay? That is just coming from the past. Bring awareness to it and change it. Change the story, change the thought, change your reality. Because feeling joy is betrayal to the ego. The ego doesn't like it, doesn't like joy. It's like, whoa, you're about to open yourself up, you're going to get vulnerable, you're going to get hurt, oh my gosh, no, right? So ever notice when you start feeling great and your life is joyful, a thought like, this won't last, or this is too good to be true, or you don't deserve this, comes in and rains on your parade. Yeah, that's ego. And it's really pissed that you betrayed it, okay? And it's going to fight you. Your ego will fight. When you, 1, recognize the negative thought, you then, 2, release it with no judgment, don't create a story around it, and 3, replace it with a positive thought. Example, 1, I recognize I detoured into my negative thought patterns. 2, I release the made-up thought. 3, I am worthy and I choose love. So I'm going to tell you a little example, a little story about me and how I, detoured into fear all the time, and judgment and, ego and limiting beliefs and all that kind of thing. So high school was a disaster for me. It really heightened all insecurities that I had about myself. I was bullied in middle school for having an apple bottom, the beginnings of my body image insecurities. Right? My past body image insecurities. I was bullied in high school for being smart. I got death threats because I was good at sports, which was then the beginning of me not wanting to stand out of fear of being taken down and outcast, right? And then obviously just throughout that, it inevitably led to me leaving high school in my 3rd year because I was being so bullied and just had so much hate, which then led me to my shame about not having a high school diploma, which then led me to constantly having to prove myself to the world that I was good enough. Like, you can see where all of this comes from, and, the hard work and the grit and the making myself proud and the do and having to prove, all of this stuff, right? It all stems back from that. All stems back to high school. Now, we all have stories and experiences that have shaped our perception of the world that we live in. But they are only stories, and they are only illusions that we have created, and we can choose to see things differently. It is just a story. It's a story that I was telling myself about me not being able to, succeed because I didn't have a high school diploma, or me, the insecurity of people thinking that I wasn't smart enough because I left high school, which was actually quite the reverse. I was so intelligent that I wasn't going to put myself through that nonsense anymore, right? But it's a story. It's just a story that we tell ourselves, and then we live in that reality. We live in the reality, whatever reality we paint, that's what we live in. Okay? And you can always choose to tell yourself a different story. So it took me hitting rock bottom a couple times before I woke up and decided I didn't like this reality I had created. I went on to learn and continue to educate myself in areas I was passionate about. It meant I had to work harder and have grit to where I am today. You don't learn grit and you don't learn hard work unless you've really truly had to be forced into it, right? Because nothing has ever come easy to me, I am very gritty. I don't give up. I find other ways. I pivot. I don't moan. I don't whine. I just get it done. I just get it done. That's just life. And I learned that because of my past. I learned the value of hard work, and I fell in love with expanding my knowledge by choice, okay? By choice. I never gave up. I learned that an apple bum was actually a prized possession and that people actually paid to have a butt like mine now. People actually pay to have what I have. So who's laughing now? No. But how crazy to think that I used to be self-conscious about it. Absolutely crazy. But then I changed my perception. Around. So I was bullied for having an apple butt. I was insecure for many, many, many years about it. And then I changed my perception because I did inner work. And then boom, now it's I could probably make money off it, off my butt. Anyway, a phrase that I used to use to get over things like this, whenever I felt like I was going into fear-based thoughts, ego, I would say this: I witness my judgment and acknowledge that it is just my fear, shame, and past wounds showing up. Judging is a false sense of safety, when in actuality it is perpetuating my fear and keeping me from my true nature, love. That brings awareness and it catches it out, okay? Because remember, judgment and fear and shame, that's all subconscious. Call it out. Call it out with a statement. It takes it into the conscious mind, and then the conscious can start to rearrange things. Okay, it can start to rearrange things. Now, judgment is your ego's way of protecting you from guilt and shame. But the problem is that it separates you from others and your true nature. It is also a vicious cycle. So, like, for instance, you're triggered, you judge to not feel shame, right? So you judge because you're protecting yourself from feeling shame and guilt. You feel shame because you judged. Then you feel sad, misunderstood, betrayed, and separate from everyone else. You're triggered again, you judge again, you feel shame and guilt, and so on and so forth. So judgment itself is a huge topic, and if you didn't listen to episode 13, the one just before this one, last week's episode, go and listen to that, because I purely go into judgment and how to, forgive, and how to where judgments come from, and how it is really the ego's way to protect us, but it's a false sense of protection. Okay, so master ego thinks that it's doing the right thing by stopping you from feeling vulnerable and love and all of that, because it is learned. Your ego is learned, okay, from childhood. It's a thing that is created and learned, right, from past experiences. So let's say you've had a really, really hard life, right? Let's say you've had a really hard life. Well, master ego is pretty much going to play the main head honcho role in your life, right? It's going to protect the crap out of you. It thinks it's not like the ego is not the devil on the shoulder. Okay, some people think that, that they imagine ego is like the little devil on your shoulder, and there's one good and one bad. It actually isn't, okay? It's actually not a bad thing. Ego does think it's doing right, okay? It thinks it's doing right, but it's almost like it's, artificial intelligence. There's always glitches, right? There's nothing more pure than the human emotion, or with the human, humanness, right? So that's kind of what ego is. It's kind of like all those movies where you've got artificial intelligence and they never quite can get them down right, because there's nothing like being human. Human is like being love, and ego is like artificial intelligence. But that's kind of the best way to explain it. So it's programmed, it's learned, and it's programmed. But unfortunately, it does hold us back from trusting ourselves, from loving, from trusting other people, and from listening to our intuition, really truly listening to our gut. Your ego is going to stop you from truly living an authentic, joyful, happy, loving life. If there's one thing that I want you to understand here, it's that, ego is preventing you from freedom, from feeling free of judgment, free to feel what you want to feel, free to feel love, free just to be out there in the world and to be compassionate and to love freely without conditions. Ego is going to stop you from doing that. You do have the ability to completely change the reality that you live in, completely change it. You've got to decide on whether you want your ego to run the show or whether you want soul, whether you want love, whether you want your true nature as a baby on your date of birth, right? Do you want to let that love create your reality? Do you want to live in that light? Or do you want to live in a restricted, more held back kind of a nature? And that's what ego will do. So use the tools that I've given you in this podcast to redirect your actions, feelings, thoughts, right, towards more soul and love by recognizing the negative thought that you've had, the negative thought or the negative feeling, okay? The feeling follows the thought because the subconscious mind thinks the thing like judgment or shame, and then you feel it. Okay, so recognize when you don't feel good and then release it with no judgment. That's a hard one, okay? But you just have to verbalize, I release this made up thought. I know where this is coming from. Jem just taught me about that it comes from our past beliefs, our past experiences, which then forms our ego and creates our reality that we're living in, whether it be miserable or happy, okay? So there is no judgment. You can't judge it. It just happened. The thought happened. It's in your subconscious. All right. It's not your fault. This is just. It's how many years you've been alive. This is how long the ego's been forming. Right. And then 3, you replace it with that better feeling or that better thought. Okay. Replace it with a positive thought. Okay. Positive meaning better than bad. Okay. Better than negative. So it doesn't have to be an extreme, like I said, it doesn't have to be a super extreme, I'm feeling depressed, to I love everybody around me. That's a massive jump, okay? It's a massive jump. Just something, 3rd step is replace it with a better thought, better feeling. You're going to end up doing this all day, every day, okay? It happens all the time. But you've got to start living out of your conscious mind, okay? Living out of your conscious mind. And the way that we practice living out of our conscious mind is doing little things like this. Is doing little things like awareness of the negative thought, releasing with no judgment, replacing with a better thought. Every single time you feel a bad thought. That's a part of practicing living in the conscious moment because you're consciously choosing to feel and think better. Meditation also helps. Tapping into, present moment things, breath work, okay? There's I'll do another podcast on truly how to cultivate a conscious mind or how to live consciously. That might be the next week's podcast, so listen out for that. But you have to practice. You've got to practice doing it. So anytime you feel less than what you want to feel, okay? If you just don't feel good, you put this into motion, you put this into practice, you consciously make decisions to feel better and choose again so that you can create a better reality for yourself. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have any questions, please do email me, jem@gembodymind.com. You can visit me at www.gembodymind.com and also go check out my Instagram where I talk more about this stuff as well. And that is at Gem, GEM_Munro, MUNRO. I love you so much. Thank you. And I hope this helped create a little better reality for you today. And I'm super interested to hear how you get on in the future.